Guerdy Abraira exposes truth about Julia Zoom feud. RHOM star Guerdy Abraira is exposing the truth regarding her Zoom feud with castmate Julia Lemagova. There were a lot of big events happening in the Season 7 premiere. Yet one incident that stood out was Guerdy and Julia's battle. So what exactly happened? Keep reading for more details. Guerdy Abraira exposes truth about Julia's Zoom feud. Bravo fans were on the edge of their seats awaiting the Season 7 premiere of RHOM. The hit reality series has not been on the air since March 2024, so it felt like a lifetime. Yet they stayed faithful to the show, and the premiere delivered all that everyone wanted and more. Of course, there were feuds and romantic issues, but one moment that stood out was Julia Lemagova against Guerdy Abraira. She had some big news to share with her co-stars, and it was that she and her wife, Martina Navratilova, had adopted 2 sons. This was something that they had desired for a very long time, and now it was a reality. Julia wanted to spill the beans over a Zoom meeting, and everyone was there but Guerdy. She tried to come in and alleged no one was letting her in, plus she had other meetings, so she couldn't wait forever. Julia felt betrayed that Guerdy was not there and ultimately received a quick text. However, it was hard for Guerdy to learn about the adoption via the media. Julia bashed Guerdy to Martina, and this played out for the rest of the episode. Now, Guerdy is showing the texts between her and Julia, proving she tried her hardest to attend. It seems that Guerdy tried the link 3 times and continued to fail. She tried to tell her RHOM co-star that she was struggling, but was not met with any compassion. Rather, Julia told her she would hear the big news on her own now that it had gone public. Guerdy maintains that she had to Google what Julia had to tell her and did not hear it directly from her friend. Fans react to the bombshell texts. After RHOM fans saw the text between Julia Lemagova and Guerdy Abraira, what did they have to say? Many who watched the premiere felt bad for Guerdy. They also hoped that this would not be Julia's lone storyline and focus solely on her anger toward Guerdy, which would prove to be boring. Now that the texts are out, is this making viewers further despise Julia? No one was happy with how Julia behaved, and they also did not think that she dictated any of the messages. More so, they believed she could have easily told Guerdy rather than being cold. In the glitzy, sun-soaked chaos of the Real Housewives of Miami, there are tears, tequila, turbans, and of course, Zoom drama. And just when fans thought they'd seen it all, Guerdy Abraira, the fiery, fashion-forward event planner with a no-nonsense streak, decided it was time to break her silence. What started as a digital misunderstanding exploded into a full-blown feud, and Guerdy is not mincing words. The feud in question: Julia Lemagova versus Guerdy Abraira. The battleground? A housewife Zoom call gone wrong. The truth? According to Guerdy, it's not just about a mute button. It's about respect, visibility, and being treated like more than a digital afterthought. I was literally silenced, Guerdy told Bravo Daily Dish in an exclusive sit-down, her voice rich with both irritation and disbelief. It was like I was trapped in a virtual corner while everyone else got to have their say. You don't mute Guerdy and expect her to just sit there and smile. The Zoom heard round the 305. The infamous Zoom call, originally intended as a casual cast catch-up between filming, quickly spiraled into chaos. Fans first caught wind of the incident through a cryptic Instagram story from Guerdy featuring the words, "Funny how silence speaks volumes when it's forced." That same night, Julia posted a serene selfie with her goats and a caption about finding peace in the noise. Housewives sleuths immediately sensed drama. As it turns out, the Zoom was meant to discuss an upcoming charity event Julia was spearheading, an animal rescue benefit at her Palm Beach farm. But what was meant to be a collaborative conversation turned frosty when Guerdy questioned Julia's plans to include only certain housewives in the promotional materials. "I simply asked why my name wasn't mentioned," Guerdy explained. "It was a basic question, a respectful question. And next thing I know, boom, I'm muted." According to Guerdy, she attempted to unmute herself several times, only to be overridden by Julia, who reportedly continued the conversation as if Guerdy had logged off entirely. It was bizarre. Kiki was laughing nervously, Larsa looked like she wanted to vanish, and Lisa just sipped her wine and stayed silent. Weeks went by.
Typical,
Fans speculated. Memes flew. And while Julia kept posting animal rescue updates and avoiding comment, Guerdy was planning her response, her way. I was raised to handle things with poise, but also not to allow anyone to diminish my voice, Guerdy said. This wasn't just about Zoom. It was about what happens when women try to erase each other under the guise of logistics. Julia tried to downplay it like it was tech issues, but baby, no. We know the difference between a glitch and a gaslight. Guerdy claims that Julia later texted her a brief apology, blaming the Zoom malfunction, but it didn't sit right. Listen, I'm tech savvy. I know a manual mute when I see it. This wasn't a glitch. This was a choice. The cast reacts. In classic RHON fashion, the fallout spilled into filming. The next group event, a glitzy launch party for Guerdy's new charity collaboration, was ice cold when Julia walked in. She came in with that serene smile, carrying some hand-picked roses from her garden, like nothing happened, Guerdy recalled. And I thought, okay, so we're doing that. According to insiders, the two barely exchanged words all night, with Julia sticking close to Adriana and Lisa, while Guerdy worked the room like a pro, smiling wide but watching everything. Larsa Pippin, who's never shied away from stirring the pot, reportedly whispered to Nicole halfway through the party, "Guerdy's smile is sharper than Julia's cheekbones tonight." Even more telling, Guerdy's speech of the event made subtle jabs about using your voice for good and not letting others silence your purpose. The crowd clapped politely, but Housewives fans knew the real tea. Julia responds, sort of. While Julia has yet to offer a full explanation on camera, she's kept things cryptic online. One tweet in particular had fans reading between the lines. Some people thrive on conflict. I thrive on connection. Not everyone is meant to understand. But Guerdy isn't buying it. You can't cry peace and goats while you're out here muting people like it's a dictatorship, she quipped. That's not connection. That's control. What's really at stake? At its core, the Guerdy versus Julia feud is about more than a technical snafu. It touches on deeper issues of power, inclusion, and authenticity, especially within the Housewives world, where airtime and alliances often mean everything. I don't need to be center stage, Guerdy said, but I do need to be respected. I bring receipts, elegance, and effort to everything I do. What I don't bring? Pettiness masked as zen. And as filming continues for the upcoming season, insiders say this feud is far from over. In fact, producers are reportedly planning a sit-down between Julia and Guerdy, a face-to-face resolution attempt in the style of Ultimate Girls Trip's infamous conflict dinners. One source teased, "Let's just say the mute button won't save anyone this time." The final word for now. While Julia remains coy, Guerdy is firm. This isn't a war, but it is a warning. Don't underestimate someone just because they're composed. I'll call you out with couture and keep it classy, but I won't keep it quiet. If the Housewives franchise has taught us anything, it's that silence can be deafening. But Guerdy Abraira is done being silenced. Whether it's on Zoom, in person, or on Bravo's biggest stages, she's here, she's fierce, and she refuses to be muted again.